Hello, Rama Puppodu. I hope all are living peacefully, having a happy life, healthy, and feeling very relaxed. Now, let's go to chapter 36 Pandapur Bijapur. Pandapur Vithoba is indeed a most popular deity. He is visited by pilgrims from all parts of India. Hundreds of them are every day coming to Pandharpur with this object. It is said on important festival days, thousands of people are pouring into the places. Here flows the beautiful river Chandrabagi. A little further away from the bank of this river is situated the temple of Vithoba. To go inside this temple is to merge oneself in an atmosphere full of spiritual fervor. On one side, a group is busy performing bhajan, ringing cymbals. On another side, a saintly figure is preaching the greatness of bhakti, giving now and again a sweet song or an apt illustration. Again, at another place, some saints with a tamburi in hand are singing abhangas of Tukaram. Some are sitting near the massive pillars of the temple, deeply absorbed in meditation. Still, others are found occupying the verandas, reading religious books. Some again still are dancing, merely repeating Vittal, Vittal. Oh, it was a scene in which Ramdas lost himself every time he entered the temple. There is always a huge rush of pilgrims for the darshan of Vithoba. Ramdas remained in Pandharpur for 5 days, occupying a small mandir of Shankar on the bank of the holy river in the company of two sadhus. Ram is very kind indeed. Ramdas here came to know the Mangalvade lay only 12 miles from Pandharpur. One morning, Ramdas walked out this distance and reached Mangalvade at midday. In the town, a kind merchant served him with food. It appeared as though the merchant was looking forward to the arrival of Ramdas. Ram's plans are always such when man leaves everything to him without interference. Mangalwade is a small town where about 400 years ago a great saint, Damaji Pant, flourished. The very old and worn out fortress in which Damaji was holding office for managing public affairs under the Badshah of Delhi is still there. Damaji was a great devotee of Vithoba of Pandharpur. The way how he came to the relief of thousands of starving, famine-stricken fellow men by a loving and fearless act of charity, and how God Vithoba saved his bhakta by assuming the form of a pariah, form the theme of a well-known story of this great saint's life. The memory of the saint is still dear and sacred to everyone of this blessed town, even to this day. On the samadhi of this saint, there is now a temple containing 3 idols via of Vithoba, Rukmayi, and Damaji. Bhajan, puja, and reading of religious books are going on in this temple throughout the day and a great part of the night. There is also a sadhu residing here. Ramdas remained in the society of the sadhu for 5 days. They were indeed, by the grace of Ram, very happy days. The sadhu was a simple and childlike man, a true Sishya of Damaji. He was rearing a white cow, which he was very fond of. He called her Krishnabai. He has written some beautiful verses in Marathi upon the Gomada. Truly, the cow represents the mother of the universe and forms a grand ideal that stands for all that is gentle, pure, self-sacrificing, and innocent. The Gomada yields milk, out of which curd, butter, and ghee are made for the use of man. And again, she is the mother of the bullocks that plow the fields for growing corn, that provides food grains for the use of man. Her dung is itself is of a great use as fuel. In Kathiawar, where there are no trees and forests close by, the common fuel is mare cow dung cakes. Then again, after death, various useful articles are made out of her skin and bones. O mother, thou art indeed Kamadhenu. Ramdas now started by Ram's command on foot for Bijapur, which is 40 miles from Mangalwade. He came across on the way a number of villages, and in almost all villages he was welcomed by the residents sadhus of the place. In some cases, the villagers had prevailed upon Ramdas to stay with them for 2 or 3 days. So the journey proved, by the grace of Ram, a most delightful one. At last, Ramdas reached Bijapur in the evening. He went straight to a Ram Mandir and, receiving some prasad after puja, took rest for the night in a small shed attached to the temple. Next morning, Ram prompted Ramdas to go about inquiring for any generous hearted merchant who supplied foodstuffs to sadhus. For every town or city contains such charitable bhaktas. Ramdas had given up doing this kind of thing independently, for, in fact, foodstuffs were of no use to him, since Ramdas did not cook. If food was given, he would take, otherwise not. But in this particular instance, it was all the prompting of Ram. At last, knocking about for 2 or 3 hours from one bazaar to the other, from one lane to the other, from one shop to the other, he was at last directed to a place where he was given some wheat flour, dal, and 1 anna for sundries. These things Ramdas tied up in a piece of cloth, and he was going in the crowded streets, knowing not where to. When he was in the middle of a street, he was detained by a call from a young man coming towards him from a high-storied building. "Will you deign, Maharaj, to accept Bisha at my house today?" he asked. "If you can do so, you may come to this house at 12 o'clock." It was then about 10 o'clock. Ramdas, accepting the invitation, proceeded onwards and eventually sat on the outer veranda of a shop which was shut. 10 minutes had not elapsed when Ramdas described at a short distance an old man with a rosary of large rudraksh round his neck, standing in front of a house for alms in the hot sun. Now Ramdas clapped his hands and beckoned the old bhiksha to the place where Ramdas was sitting. He came. After mutual salutations, he took his seat beside Ramdas. Ramdas now handed over to him, as prompted by Ram, the bundle containing wheat, flour, etc., and also the 1 anna piece. No sooner had Ramdas made this offer than he stared at Ramdas with a solemn, uncertain, and vacant gaze. Then, falling at the feet of Ramdas and clasping his feet, he looked up and said, "At last, God has shown himself to me. You are none else but God, to whom I was praying and praying all these years." Then again he cried out, "Am I dreaming, or is this a reality?" Now Ramdas was utterly bewildered and was quite unable to make out the cause of his strange behavior. "What ails you, O brother?" asked Ramdas. "The fact is, Maharaj," he replied, "from morning I have been wandering for alms. I could get till now not only half an anna." Here he showed 2/4 anna pieces. "At home there is an old sickly wife and 2 children to be fed. To go home empty-handed means the starvation of those innocent children. I was praying to God in all humility, but I was almost losing hope when you, whom I look upon as God Himself, called me and offered me food. O Ram, what a deplorable tale! O Ram, how many there are in the world who are always on the verge of starvation. This occurrence is narrated here in detail to show the acuteness of the misery of starvation that exists among the poor, downtrodden, lower classes. O rich brothers, O rich mothers, O Ram! Now, parting from the old friend, Ramdas came to the house of the merchant friend who had invited him. Here, both the merchant and his wife treated poor Ramdas in a most kindly way. They pressed him to remain at theirs for 2 days. During this time, Ramdas visited the vast and imposing pile, the Jumna Masjid, climbed the torrent and ascended the gallery of the gigantic structure Golgumata. The masterly architecture of this building is indeed wonderful. The hollow dome of the building reverberates the slightest sound inside 7 times. The sound is also magnified. A man standing near this huge Leviathan structure appears like an ant in comparison. Ram showed Ramdas these marvelous things. That's all, folks. Let's see in the next chapter. Thank you. Bye bye. Rama Rama Pupodu.